I still want to apologize for the joke that I made and how it landed poorly.
It was a joke. Oh, so hilarious.
Racism,
Really?
Do you recall last week in the middle of the S storm? Maybe it was the tail end of the week before, where we saw this game developer come out and say this. Just wait until they notice. None of our starting characters in our alpha build are white males. None. None out of 6. Blabs, you have gone back and forth with Irina. Right? I don't know how to say Irina's last name, but
Prairie, I think.
But you've kind of gone back and forth with her several times, and you were very early on this. I don't know. Talk about your experience.
Well, I mean, there wasn't really a whole lot of experience. I saw Melee K tweet something else about like period talks, and she was like, "What the hell?" And this was the woman talking about periods.
Oh yes, this is the lady who at GDC said it's really refreshing to hear another lady talk about this.
So I was like, "This is a parody, right?" And she's like, "No parody here. This was amazing." I was like, "Shouldn't you guys be, focusing on gaming rather than talking about periods and screaming at the sky?" And she's like, "Nobody was screaming at the sky." So then I brought her a link of literally everyone screaming into the sky.
Yeah.
Misinformation. She's like, "Well, I wasn't screaming." And I was like, "But debunked." And then eventually it just turned out to be that she was like, "Wait until we don't have any white guys in our games." I was like, "Imagine if you said that about Black people, equality, not equity." And she was like, "Bah, bah, 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 bah." And now I can't see.
You don't get it.
Yeah, now I can't.
Answered you?
Yeah, for some reason, her and Alyssa have been answering me. Alyssa has a hate boner, love boner for me, but now she blocked me.
They want to convert you.
They don't answer.
I was called studying Craig Stooge. I was like, what does that even mean?
What does that mean? Well, so Irina came out and she put this out and she got blasted online, right? She got blasted. And last night she posted a response for the first time. Now, I want to preface this and let you know that I've had many conversations with Irina, so behind the scenes via DM. She follows me, which is why I can see this thread, because she has currently locked her thread on X and locked her account again after posting this response. I'll kind of provide you a little bit of insight on our conversations without giving away anything personal after we're done, but she responded to this, and I will read this off. None of the complaints levied against me or Unleashing Games are true. I work very closely with an incredible team that includes the demographic I'm accused of excluding. If that feels hypocritical, perhaps the answer is a lot simpler. The characters I referenced are demo characters, stand-ins for our character creator, which will include the ability to configure a character to your liking. We are a startup with a prototype that has been building for less than a year. We would appreciate the grace of understanding that that game features don't come for free. They could have been built by people. They have to be built by people who deserve a salary. Building a game costs a lot of time and money. If you'd like to invest, we are taking calls. Haven is a cross-platform, family-friendly cooperative RPG with old-school MMO vibes targeted towards a broad audience of both men and women, adult and teen. If this isn't your jam, that's totally fine. We can't please everyone, but definitely we won't exclude anyone. That was never our plan, ever. Check out our weekly stream to keep up with our progress as we add features. If you have feedback, we welcome it. So she went out and I wouldn't say this is an apology by any means. It's more just like, no, you don't get it, right? That's kind of what she's saying there. Now, we're going to watch a little bit of this video as well, that the beginning of their live stream. And I will say this, I invited her on the show today, and I've invited her on the show several times because I think when you mess up in life at all, or you feel like you're misconstrued, you should probably get out in front of it. And the reality is that her post will be seen considerably less than this show, especially with her stuff locked. And I think that the best thing that you can do in a situation like this is have a conversation, answer questions, and show people that you're actually human. And I told her this last night. I said, listen, people see you as the girl who hates the lady who hates white people, right? You have to get out in front of that, and you have to at least have a conversation about that. I'm not looking to have a gotcha interview or anything like that, but I am looking to have a conversation. Hey, why did you think this was funny? Like, what about this did you think this was funny at that exact time? Did you feel like you failed to read the room, right? And it feels like she's definitely trying to backtrack, because I feel like she definitely knows she's done damage to the game before she even got started, before she even had a chance to start.
I've seen people making fun of the game too.
What's that?
There's a picture of her like in a laughing, and it's like 15 frames a second because it shows what the game is running at, and it's like literally running at 15 to 25 frames a second.
Right.
When she was playing whatever demo or alpha build she was playing of it, and yeah, that's pretty laughable.
You know,
So,
I,
go ahead, Miranda.
I was actually pretty serious when I said, "Oh, Blab, she answered you, but she didn't answer me." And what I basically said is, so you purposely want to incite people by saying, "Hey, guess what? We don't have any white characters in our demo." You didn't do that just to do that. You did that to get a certain response. And then when you didn't get the response that you wanted, then you have this thing backtracking. And I'm just like, not to go on personal appearances, but I will. I'm like, lady, you look white to me. So what are you saying? That you hate the males of your own, your own ethnicity? That doesn't go over very well. And the other thing is, do you think that minority gamers, for some reason, are impressed with this self-flagellation of yours? No, we're really not. So again, that's kind of bigoted to think, okay, well, if we hype up that we didn't use any white people, any white characters, it's just like, please, what happened is you didn't read the room because you didn't want to read the room. It's just basically, I want to get points because see how good I am. See how virtuous I am. I'm on the right side of history. I'm an ally. It's like, no, honey, you basically got played. And then when people called you on it, like Blabs and like myself, well, they'll just ignore me because I don't even exist according to them. At least that's what Miss Alyssa tried to tell me. It's ridiculous. If it was a or prototype of what they were doing, why did they even have to bring that up?
Well, I think that, and this is why I would have loved to have her on the show, right? Because whether or not she feels that way, she could at least, I would much rather have conversations, and this goes back to the niche gamer conversation we had last week. This goes to here. I would much rather have these conversations with people than about people. And whenever we have conversations about people, I always try to invite them on, because I would much rather have those conversations with them. But Jeremy over at the Quartering responded to this before she locked it down and said, can you let us know why you feel it's worth celebrating that the game has excluded, quote, white guys? Why did you think that was an advertising point? She said, I said not a single one of our alpha character demos was white. 3 classes, 2 genders, and of 3 possible male models, none ended white. I thought it was amusing. Demo character, stand-ins, not final. I never said anything about exclusions. Those words were put in my mouth by some odd twisting of my tweet. But obviously, the internet doesn't forget these things. And
twisting of a tweet. She literally said, there it is. None of our starting characters are white males.
White males, none out of 6.
Twisted.
Right.
Yeah, IGN France pulled the same bullshit when they were out there talking about the guy who made Stellar Blade. Like, oh, people are misreading what was said. The part where they said that they must have never seen a woman and that she's an Asian sex doll.
Oh, we're going to get to that in just a second, because that was brilliant stuff over there. But I did want to take a second and watch her, the beginning of this video. This was a live stream that they did a couple days ago. They had one of their early investors on. They have like a pre-seed investor on. But before they get into the actual gameplay, she goes out of her way to kind of to talk about the tweet and stuff. And we can kind of take and I would like to preface this in that she's going off the top of her head here. I think she probably should have had some bullet points, but you can clearly tell that she's just kind of talking off the top of her head. But with that said, I do think it's worth talking about. So let's watch about 3 minutes of this, and you guys tell me at any point if you want me to stop. So here we go.
And there's actually something before we jump into everything I wanted to kind of address, because there seems to be a little bit of blowback over a tweet that I made earlier this week. I said something and then it kind of got turned into something else, and then it became even bigger than I ever anticipated or ever wanted. So in full acknowledgement that I might have stepped in something and like upset a few people, let's just address the elephant in the room, and that is the fact that
Okay. So she is acknowledging that she kind of stepped in something here. Okay. And they're about to acknowledge the elephant in the room. Okay. So what do you think the elephant in the room is? What's the elephant in the room? Lorena, let's start with you. What do you think the elephant in the room is? What's the thing that everybody is curious about? Oh, you muted. Sorry.
Sorry, I had some background noise. The elephant in the room to me is, it's just like, why are you making it such a big deal that your 6 characters were not white?
Okay. Flash, what do you think the elephant in the room is? Do you agree with Lorena?
Yeah, she got it.
Okay. All right. And Blabs, I'd imagine. So it's
Yeah,
probably the
same
tweet.
thing.
Probably the tweet. So here we go.
But even like beforehand, her wording was a bit weird. She was kind of like, "Oh, some people are misunderstanding what I said," so it's kind of like she's almost victimizing herself a little bit. Like everyone else misunderstood me, and now she's clarifying. That's how I see it too.
All right, let's go see what she says here.
I might have stepped in something and like upset a few people.
What?
Just a few, by the way.
Yeah.
Let's just address the elephant in the room, and that is the fact that we are a game in early development. We've only really built this prototype over.
So that was the elephant in the room, was that they're a game in early development, not the tweet, not the like. And that to me, once again, it goes back to, I would love to have her on, be like, that's not the elephant in the room. That's not the elephant in the room at all. That seems kind of tone deaf, like. If you feel like everybody, the elephant in the room is not that you have a game in early development. The elephant in the room was the tweet that you made that once again, she hasn't apologized for it. She's just saying you don't understand what I was trying to say, which that's the way that I'm hearing it. Am I wrong in that this so far?
No, you're not wrong. I mean, to borrow a phrase from Judge Judy, who I love to death, don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining. That is how this starts out with. Like, I might have done something and may have gotten some people upset. To me, that's disingenuous completely. We know what the deal is, but you won't say that. So she'll go in and she starts to say, well, we're a small gaming studio. It's like, honey, we didn't criticize the fact that you only had 6 demo characters. No one was talking about, why do you have such a small amount? No one was talking about that particular technical aspect of the game. No one talked about that. What people were pissed about was you basically thumbing your nose and saying, hey, we only have 6 white people. And, we don't have, and all the characters are prototype characters. None of them are white. Again, why bring that up? That's right. What people are upset about. So it's like it's like she's, blowing the smoke, pay no attention to what's going on, behind the curtain. And it's insulting. And that's why people will start to tune out. It's like, this isn't an apology. She didn't just say, you know what, I screwed up. I picked the wrong words. I'm sorry. And it gave people the wrong impression. That's not what I was trying to do. Just come out and freaking own it.
That's pretty much what I told her last night. Is like, look, everybody makes mistakes, right? Unless she feels like she hasn't made a mistake, right? And I think that's the issue that I have with this. But let's go ahead and continue here.
That we are a game in early development. We've only really built this prototype over the last, like since last summer. It was 7 months of like hard development, and then we've been polishing for GDC ever since. But we don't have every feature in our game. There's a lot more that we want to add and that we are nowhere near. But what we have done is we have built a prototype. And what that means in like the whole game development cycle, you go prototype to alpha to early access, like closed beta to open beta to release. So we're way back at the infancy of the process. So the things that we want, like our character creator, literally don't exist. We had to put in like kind of straightforward characters just to be able to test our gameplay. We started out with just our classes. We have a mage, we have a healer, and we have a warrior. And one of the things that we wanted to prove that it was fun to play as 3 different roles. And
that was
we
tips
could go
typing.
around in group.
I've
and
got it muted one.
go
So just so you know, you hear guys in the background, they're having audio issues and they're talking, so it's going to mess her up. So
dungeons or take on dungeons, take on fights, and then take on bosses. And that is what we built for our GDC demo. We actually intend to have one of the most incredible character creators ever seen in games, and one in particular where we have Gen AI to be able to like literally take your face and put it on your character. But we're not there yet. We literally like don't have enough money to do that. We're raising that money. So if you know any investors, please send them our way. I'm happy to take calls.
Good luck with that. Not after this, you're not.
No. Rattle that tin cup all you want.
Flash, you were saying you said something before the show about this. I think you said something effective like those, if you're looking for investors, how come all the people that she's pandering to aren't investing in it?
Exactly. Yeah. Where are they at?
Right. Where are they at? Yeah. So good, continue.
But we haven't built it yet. We want players to be able to represent themselves in our game. That's it. Or configure something that looks nothing like you. But the point is that we don't want to exclude anybody from being able to play our game. We actually want to have the most inclusive character creator so that if you want to be blue, you can, but it just won't look ugly, right? I mean, we did that at Blizzard. We want to be able to create that level of creativity or offer that level of creativity to our players. So please don't hold out on us yet. We've got a lot more to go and a long road ahead of us to build the game that we imagine. But I still want to apologize for the joke that I made and how it landed poorly.
It was a joke. Oh, so hilarious.
Racism, huh?
Oh,
Really?
I don't think it's really funny to joke about that.
No, especially when it can
not.
be totally taken out of context and anyone can just shred it on the internet and now look at the results. Good job.
Especially in the like, once again, read the room, right? You clearly didn't read the room, and there's a time and place for all. Like, I think that jokes are funny. I'm all about inappropriate jokes. I get it, but there's also a time and place for those jokes, right?
Especially not now with all the Sweet Baby Ink stuff going on. That was terrible.
So please, understand that I never meant to exclude anybody whatsoever from our game. That's exactly the opposite of what our intent is, because we are making games to bring people together.
So there we go. So yeah, I think we can just kind of open it up right there. And Blabs, what are your thoughts on this? You look like you have resting Blabs.
I got something.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Think of. She played herself, and now look at the response. That game will probably never see the light of day.
Who's going to invest in it?
No one wants to invest in this. The people they were catering to don't have money because they live in their basements and they're like blue-haired land whales. They can't afford the stuff, so it's like, well, who is your audience? Oh, nobody now. Who's your target? Nobody.
I think that's probably the most unfortunate thing about this is she thrusts the sword into the belly of her game and she ended it before they had a chance, regardless of how great the game is. That's the most unfortunate thing about it. And the game could be spectacular, but they'll always be known as, that group. And that's unfortunate. Like I said, this is a person who has kids and she's got people relying on her and stuff, which once again goes back to the idea of like, she should have come on. Should have come on to talk about this, because that way you could answer questions about it. And I think that's probably the most infuriating thing about this whole thing is,
Or at least just unblock her tweets so that the world can see her actually saying, all right, here's what's up. My bad. Instead, she's just hiding. That doesn't do anything either. Coward.
well, I'll say this,
Not good.
you know, the invitation is there. If she wants to come on and talk, she can come on tomorrow. She can come on Wednesday, whenever she wants to come on and talk about this. But I do think, like, I'm trying to build a fence here, you know, or build a bridge here. I'm trying to build a bridge that will allow, like, I don't want to see anybody fail, right? So I'm honestly disappointed that she would get guidance to not come on the show, because, and I think that also speaks a lot about the state of where things are at, where I wonder if she would do an article about, if she would be on Kotaku or Polygon, right? Versus Side Scrollers or The Quartering or Geeks and Gamers, right? Or Flash or, you know, or whatever, right? I think that says a lot about the damage that's there in the space right now, and the amount of distrust that is there from all sides. It's really sad. So anyways, we'll keep an eye, and I'll continue my conversation with her. Like I said, the invitation is open. Lorena, you got anything on that before we close? Did you have any closing thoughts on that?
My only closing thought is she tried to go for an apology, and in the end wound up with a sales pitch.
I don't even think she tried to go for an apology. At no point she said, you know, her apology. I want to make sure I get this right, because she said, I want to apologize for this joke that didn't hit. It wasn't like
it's a non-apology apology is what
Right.
I like to call these sorts of things.